qualifiers for sure.
Right. All right, and I think that the bands are getting ready to get underway. Vertex, we can touch on them a little bit, still a fairly newer team. They have a lot of individual talent. I don't personally know a whole lot about them, but as you can see here, Coastline, the first map coming out banned by Honor Among Thieves.
It's unusual to use your first ban for a map that you know pretty much everyone's going to ban. That's generally considered kind of a waste, but some teams do that kind of to feel out what the other team wants to ban. So like sometimes they don't want to give away any information about what kinds of things
Right.
they want to ban, so they'll ban the one that they know is a throwaway, and be more confident in their counter bans coming up after that.
Yeah, I
So
would
that could
personally
be
do
what
the
we're
same
seeing.
thing. Save something that you know they're going to do for some sort of counter ban. There's really no need to ban it right away. Of course, not a lot of people very good at that map or even acclimated to it efficiently enough. It is a fairly new map.
There goes a surprising one. And Chalet getting banned so early, that's one that, I mean, most teams know very well. It's a very commonly played Pro League map, as well as just a general map that it's been around since season one. Usually it's a map you want to be good at, although, Glass being a big factor, that maybe even Montaigne, perhaps that's the reason they don't want to play that map is just because of the dominance of those operators. But there are very few maps you can escape from the dominance of those operators currently. So
Well,
I'm not
fortunately,
sure.
the one thing we do have going for us here is we do have Glenn banned. There was a captain's meeting before the season started, right after the qualifiers. They did a 9-3 ban, so Glass is not going to be in season one for the CCS. So definitely more peculiar under that aspect because Chalet, like you said, is one of the oldest maps and the most frequently played, and honestly has some of the most pickup and playability, if you will. But right there, you see Skyscraper ban, and Skyscraper's another of those maps. It's played a lot, but it's not played a lot. It's a very good functioning map, but it takes a lot of teamwork.
Yeah, again, that feels like another almost throwaway ban by Hat because it's a map that you wouldn't expect to have to play most teams on. Even a lot of pro league teams don't want to play it. You have a few teams like Vertical that are willing and interested to play it, but they've been trying to play it since the invitationals and things like that. I'm surprised to see them using that early. Again, it does feel like they're almost trying to feel out what Vertex wants to ban
Right.
before deciding on the direction they want to go. I mean, obviously, there's a good chance Vertex might have some trouble with some vertical play. I know we always harp on that with Chalet, but maybe they'll. I mean, there's some vertical play right there going
Yeah,
off the board.
more vertical off the
Cafe.
board for Cafe. Cafe, though, I feel like it gets played some, but it tends to get banned more than it gets played.
Yeah. I mean, except in the pro league, like definitely certain teams really want to play it. You have teams like Elevate that really can play it without strats, and I think that's a big part of it as well as they don't have to have solid strats for it. They can kind of almost pug it. I mean, they have strats, but it's just not like a solid strat the way you would do like normal maps.
Right.
And then I feel like Vertex, like if they don't like vertical play, they still don't have any choices left because like you're gonna have Consulate or Border still in play,
They're
and
very
both those are
vertical.
heavy on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
I'm not sure that that's what they're trying to get rid of, but these 2-floor maps kind of that they're looking at right now, where they're going to be fighting over 2 or 3 floors, just not really what they want to play. I mean, Bank though, not a surprise, I guess, to get taken out. That's one that's a difficult map for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
It's only
it's
been played more within the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, I think with Mira, it does create some interesting ways to play it as far as the secondary site. Most people are going to take that one to the basement play server. But whenever you win server, you're going to have to play Tellers or another place. Tellers is probably the strongest. And there's some creative ways you can do it with Mira, but Bank is one of those maps that takes a lot of time. You have to put a lot of time in empty lobbies to make sure that you know not only where to initially be, how to place yourself after things go wrong, because that's just one of those maps where things are going to go wrong. That border, just saw border play, so they're going to go ahead and ban that one out. Still a vertical play, so it goes back and touches on what you were saying about it being very vertical. Maybe they don't like the vertical play, so they were able to take this one out. Our final 3 maps, though, still very vertical in themselves. Let's see who picks what in which order.
Well, we'll see. I don't imagine Vertex wanting to play Consulate. I think they're just hoping it's going to be a decider.
Just like that, you see Clubhouse comes in, so they chose Clubhouse. A fairly straightforward map, kind of 50-50. Oh,
Yeah, it looks like they're going for the classic. So I guess I'm surprised they did go with Consulate for their pick. again, like they've been eliminating a lot of those vertical ones, so it does seem like a bit of a surprise because if you don't control the vertical one, then that's like a big deal on that map, especially if you're playing upstairs and say you're having to deal with like a pulse, things like that. It's a big difference, I think.
Right. All right, and then we got Love Consulate. We just seen Oregon recently. It is definitely going to be interesting because they still left the vertical. I can't imagine why. I'm still a little shocked by the Chalet ban. Almost every team is going to have that in their map pool.
I mean, to be fair, though, Chalet has gotten a bit stale in that ever since season 2, everyone's still pretty much pushing dining room, and with the current operators and meta and stuff like that, that still hasn't really changed much. Teams aren't really as good at pushing trophy room window, for example. There's not a lot of alternative strategies that have come up. Most people are, I mean, Fuse obviously became more of a thing once he got buffed, but overall, they haven't changed how they attack it. Still take control of the top floor from the master bedroom, take control of the library side, push across the top, clear out the roamers, attack from above a little bit, and then push dining. Like, just not a lot of variety has shown up, and maybe they're just sick of it.
Yeah, it could be that a little bit of getting stagnant overplay because it is, like you said, one of the most maps. Um, right now, we're pretty much just waiting to get them in the game. Yeah.
Not that Clubhouse isn't an extremely static map still.
Yeah, straightforward.
The bar attacks and defenses have gotten a little more interesting, though, I admit. Like, that's gotten a little more interesting, but the defense downstairs is not really changed a whole lot. Although, I'd be interested to see how they play it now without Glaz in there, because they are still going to have the Mira, but they're not going to have, like, a Glaz push down dirt, for example. So that is something you see a lot in, like, Pro League, but we're just not going to see it today. I mean, I still think Montaigne could be a factor, but Smoke is pretty good counter to him on that dirt tunnel.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. You could always still put Blackbeard in your blue tunnel, hold that angle, and then put Montaigne and, say, a sledge or someone of that nature to get rid of the barbed wire and the potential of a castle. Can bait out the smoke, so that's kind of a 50-50, but I expect to see more vertical play, take control of kitchen. It's just a matter of where they choose to put the Blackbeard, because I'm almost guaranteeing he's going to be brought out from both teams.
And it'll be interesting now that more teams know how to use impact grenades to counter even Hibana opening up that hatch in the kitchen. So, like, originally, once Hibana became a big thing, like, everyone was opening up that hatch. That became a big deal. And then Vertical showed in the invitationals, which caused Zizou to think it was a glitch, actually, how to counter that with impact grenades. And now that's become kind of a thing. And I think at least Hat, if not Vertex, know about that trick. And I expect we'll see that to try and counter some of that kitchen play. And there's still a lot of C4 going on up, either with Pulse or Valkyrie to try and counter those kitchen plays. So we may see a bit more pushes, for example, onto the hatch that drops into Memorial, things like that, or even pushing downstairs. But without Glaz, that hallway is a little bit more of risky because Blackbeard isn't as strong as he used to be.
That is true. Still fairly strong overall.
Yeah, he's still, I mean, avoiding a headshot is a pretty big deal still.
Just kind of patiently waiting here, getting the rest of these guys in our lobby. We are about ready to start again. This is the second game tonight. Game 1 was Ferocity eSports versus Paradox, and they were able to take the win 2-0. They were able to get a 5-3 on Oregon, which was map 1, and then another 5-3 on Border, the second map. Scored a little deceiving because it was a very close match. Honestly, just a couple little mistakes from the inexperience of Paradox, I think, is what ultimately cost them. And for some reason, it acted like it was going to start the game and kicked me out. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was a weird glitch.
Yeah, this is week 1, day 1. It is a 14-game season, so that means 14 weeks. We do 1 set of 3 matches on Friday and 1 set of 3 matches on Wednesday. We're always alternating the casters to kind of try to keep it fresh for you guys. Of course, if you guys got any feedback for us at all, you can get in our Discord or hit us up on Twitter or anywhere like that. We're open to the feedback that you have and criticism. This is for you guys as players in a community.
Yeah, we have a lot more flexibility than ESL might in terms of being able to make adjustments because we're not beholden to Ubisoft the same way. As ESL is, Ubisoft's kind of a client of them, so they kind of have to do things in a collaborative way with Ubisoft, which is still a good thing.
Yeah.
But we also have a flexibility to not have to do that. We're not beholden to anyone except for you guys. So please, feel free to make suggestions. Like the Glaz ban thing was one of those things that sounds like an outlandish idea, but because we're not beholden to anything like that, we can make interesting changes like that. So make sure to suggest them.
Absolutely. Slowly getting our guys in here, as you can hear the dings.
Yeah, the
Finally got
lobby's
someone.
fun.
GT.
I think we saw some good things from BT last time we saw them play, though. I think they're a pretty good team. I mean, Hat though are definitely the favorites, like pretty much
Absolutely.
in any of these matchups at
Yeah,
this
they're going to
point.
be fairly favored. They're underage, but they're definitely a professional caliber team. Polo, everyone knows he's a very nutty player. He has great flicks. Benji, he's been around. He actually rostered substitute on Era, even though he wasn't eligible to play. He still would scrim for them because they knew how strong of a player he was. Billboard been around since the beta. Came from Insurgency, a very, very strong player when it comes to simulator style games such as Rainbow Six Siege. But can't sleep on Vertex. They do have a lot of individual talent. We saw both of these teams when we did our original Friday night showcase, and we were able to see how things went. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think this will be a good matchup. I mean, I don't think it's going to be one-sided. I mean, I
Yeah.
still favor Hat, but I do think it's not going to be as one-sided as some of the other previous matches against Hat have been, just because like this is really like two strong teams. I mean, nonetheless, though, like, still going to be a difficult battle because, like, these teams, may have been even counterpicking against each other's maps and things like that. And we know with this game, maps make a huge difference. Even a
Right.
strong team against a less strong team, the map can make a big difference on whether or not they're able to get away with it and able to make things work. And then there's things like momentum and tilt. And are they playing with subs or their main roster? Like, there's a lot of factors here outside of just the team name.
Right. And so that being said, while we're getting the rest of these guys in here, we're going to go ahead and show you the team roster for each team. First, we have Vertex eSports. You guys can find them on Twitter at Vertex R6. They have One Tap, Ty Tangles, Bamboozler, Crooked, and Yokemeister. I already did a little bit of talking about these guys. I still think it should be a fairly close matchup. Obviously, it does favor Hat. They are very, very experienced, but that doesn't mean anything can happen. When we were watching the first game, Paradox was doing really good on the pick of Ferocity, which was Border. I mean, they started out really strong and had the advantage. Ultimately, lost it at the end. So anything can happen. As we're talking about that, now here you go. Honor Among Thieves. Probably, I would say, top 2 or 3 favored in all of the teams in this league. You can follow them at hat_esports on Twitter. Like we said, we have Bolo, Billboard, Misspell of Benji, Hyper, and Wheeze. I know you know these guys. These guys are excellent players, and I just can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I think other than Wheeze, I'm pretty familiar with most of the other four, and like they've all been strong players for a long time. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't for the age thing, I would have expected to see them on pro league teams right now.
Absolutely. So I think what we're going to do, so it doesn't get too stale for you guys, we'll take a quick 2-3 minute break while the rest of these guys in here, and we should be right back in the action. So again, thanks for stopping in and hanging out with us, and just hang in there a little bit longer. We'll be right back. All right, and we're about to get in it. We finally got this guy inside of our lobby.
Oh, the joys of forming and trying to fill lobbies.
Yeah, it's always a fun one, but hey, we're here. Finally gonna do it. We're gonna get into this game. And I don't know about you, but I am ready.
I'm hyped for this. This is going to be a good match. I mean, I'm glad this is the one I'm doing. This is going to be hype.
Yeah, this is gonna be very exciting. So here we go, Clubhouse, one of the most straightforward maps in the map pool, in my opinion. It's about as 50-50 as it gets.
Surprisingly, they're starting on Bar Stockroom, though. That is an odd choice. I mean, there are some okay strategies for it, but overall, it's a hard site to play well consistently, like on defense. So them choosing that first, interesting.
You think it's possible they chose it first so that they could prevent them from bringing Montag and just being able to easily walk into stock and get that bomb down?
Yeah, sometimes teams will do it just to kind of like throw off what the other team expects to be the initial pick.
Right.
And that could be the case they're taking advantage of. Because you see the other team's lineup is set up for attacking the basement. They've got that Buck there to attack the kitchen, but that doesn't mean Buck isn't extremely useful attacking the floor above Stockroom, for example, even if it's not a Montaigne push. So their lineup works okay for either, although probably don't need the Thermite, but they could make use of it. So this is not a terrible thing for the Hat guys, and I'm sure they'll adapt.
Yeah, I'm sure they will adapt, and the Thermite could easily just come over here to the strip wall, open that up. I'm looking, they didn't reinforce the hatch up here, so someone can easily go up there and play it. If they do want to go for the strip, you have to think, maybe seeing the double mirror here and they know they don't have Montang, they might choose to rotate over to that strip side and utilize that Thermite.
I mean, it's definitely a possibility. They could also then have Buck upstairs in there, open up a lot of the floor, get a lot of great angles down. You see Buck already pushing for this side, though. He may be going upstairs now. It takes a little bit of work to clear the upstairs. That's where him and Ash are going to work together. It's kind of clear that he's going to be able to help open up some of those hatches without a need for a sledge. She's going to be able to do a lot of high-speed attack damage, so.
So far, so good. 30 seconds have been played. Of course, we're in the second game today so far. I like the use of these mirrors. Obviously, they can open this up whenever they choose to and play the smoke. Hat is opting mostly to be on this strip side currently. They finally have control of strip. They know it's clear, so they've pushed in. EMP grenades go down, so we're going to see if they're going to use the Habana or the Thermite to open up this wall. Likely to just push the Thermite up there. Buck has control of the upstairs bedroom hallway, putting in holes to see if there's anyone laying. That's a very good spot right there. Really like that.
He definitely knows the angles. That's a big thing with a Buck player or Sledge player, needs to know those angles.
He finally catches a glimpse of his leg. He gets a couple shots down. He doesn't even know he's there, and Jonesy goes down. Hyper gets the first kill with Buck onto smoke, and now there's no smoke left. 135 remaining. They try to get some shots inside of the hole that he made, but Crooked gets the trade back. Benji is now down.
That's a big pick. Smoke is a big part of delaying that pool table push.
Yeah, they have it open, but they don't have smoke, so they're going to be able to freely push forward. There was a down, so Hyper gets another pick, and then Bolo gets a pick across the top tie tangles, so that's now 4v3, but a pick coming right back through Crooked. And he did a good job. Frag's going out. The bomb is going to get planted. Not sure what he did there. A miss, though, on his impact grenade. Hyper getting the final kill, and that's a round. Pretty clean round for Hat.
I think there was definitely some decent gunplay from Vertex, but just the sheer domination, losing that smoke early made a big difference. They didn't have an echo or anything to back that up.
Yeah.
And then just the sheer speed at which they took control of that top floor and they let them have that top floor made a huge difference too, because they were able to cover a lot of angles from that Buck upstairs. And that's why you usually need to play someone upstairs like that to stop them from doing that, exactly that, especially if you think they might be bringing a Buck or a Sledge to attack the basement anyways. You got to know that they're going to be up there doing that.
Yeah, that's very true. I touched on the fact that they didn't reinforce that hatch, which means you knew they weren't really going to play it. I would have opted with you to try to at least apply some pressure in there. You can give up the strip, but if you give up the upstairs, it's way too easy for them to get the push on the pool table itself. Too many angles to cover.
I mean, it's fine to give up the upstairs if you could do it without losing your guy, as long as you can delay them a little bit. Like, take 30 seconds off them, force them to really drone it, force them to really work to take that top floor. And then if you have to fall back, like let's say you're playing with a Jaeger or a Bandit up there, that's
Okay.
fine, fall back. But, you know, take that 30 seconds off them.
Yeah, at least eat something off the clock.
Yeah. Well, at least we're going to see the basement now. First bomb spot for Hat. They're going to go with a bit more of a traditional defense. They're going to set up that mirror window, get Bolo putting batteries on the wall, just basically defending up that church, and then reinforcing all the usual hatches. That one's interesting, though, in the blue utility tunnel to kind of see in. Now that, I mean, or to see out, rather. That could backfire on them if that gets opened. It's hard to say, like that.
Yeah. Personally, personally, I wouldn't throw the reinforcement with the, you know, because 9 times out of 10, that's a very big pressure place. You're not going to be able to hold that for an entire round, no matter how good you are. That has to be a mistake by them, you know, especially if Blackbeard is trying to push it and you get a little bit of pressure from that hatch. They're not really going to be able to hold it the entire time. So it could be used against them. We'll see if it comes to bite them in the butt. But so far, we're 45 seconds into the round. They got some droning done. They're finally getting Hibana down on this hatch. We're going to see if they're going to go for that counterplay you had mentioned with the impacts. Doesn't look like it, so they're going to go ahead and give that hatch up. 2 minutes, and they finally have the kitchen hatch open. Blackbeard, like we said, playing toward this blue. Sure, he's just going to drop down here and do what he has to. Droning coming out.
Hopefully they put a Claymore up there as well.
Yeah. Definitely need a Claymore. I mean, the only way to get rid of the Claymore there is with a C4, which is a resource they have to use. Jaeger holding the tight angle from blue. He knows that the drone's there, so he knows someone is going to be in garage. Oak taking his time playing inside a dirt tunnel. Pulse underneath, and now let's see if we can get himself a Pulse. He knows they're there. Can he get the C4? He was able to move out of the way. And a mistimed play by him, and that's a C4 down, which is a good thing for the attackers. Still 1:15 remainder. All players up so far.
They're going to have to start dropping hatches soon.
They're going to have to make a push, and they're going to have to make a push pretty soon. There's only about a minute left. You got a little bit of gunfire going on. Blackbeard is finally peeking up blue. He sees Wheeze, and just like that, what we talked about, he gets one. Hyper luckily gets the trade back, but Titangles gets the down, and another one comes right back, but right back, Titangles with the double kill, and a good job by Hibana. They're going to get the bomb down. Ash pushes in. The only one left is Mira, and she's all the way back by the front stairs. Blackbeard, easy pickup across the way, and one tap, I believe, with the triple kill. Very good job.
I think that made a big difference in that attack succeeding, was his taking out of Wheeze and then applying all that pressure as he came on through. Well timed with the rest of his team, getting that pressure going on the rest of Arsenal. My favorite part was they started placing the diffuser right on Pulse's corpse's head. A nice insult to injury there.
Not really BM, but saying, hey, this happened.
Yeah. Gotta diffuse your brain. But that was nicely played by Vertex. Like,
yeah, they did a really good job.
A lot of it came down to some of those gunfights being won, and so they were able to keep up their momentum on the pressure because they were low on time at that point. Had they gotten stalled out and not won those gunfights, that I think that definitely would have been in the defender's favor. But then also the Mira being far back and having to fight that Blackbeard was definitely not a good position to be in at the end. Probably should have rotated around from a different angle.
All right, it is now all tied up 1-1 in the first map on this best of 3. It is week 1, day 1 again. And on the attackers for Honor Among Thieves, you have Ash, Buck, Thatcher, Thermite, and Hibana. I mean, it's definitely doable. That allows you to get the dirt tunnel open here, and then you can also default to the back of Church Wall if you need to. Most players are going to play for the armory push after obtaining blue control, like we saw just the last round. Pretty much what they did. Got the kills from the hatch. Hibana got the double kill pushed in.
Now, this is the exact same lineup they brought the first round, so they definitely didn't change anything up. Obviously, they got thrown off a little bit by having to play against Bar, but they just bring the exact same lineup. So they were intending to bring this lineup the first round to fight the basement, since they haven't changed anything up on that. But it is a really solid lineup. I mean, you could possibly swap out Buck for Sledge. I'll play it a little bit differently, but overall, this is a pretty standard lineup, especially if you want to be able to open up the dirt tunnel. That's where that Thermite's really going to come into play.
Yeah, and then you have the Ash. She's very useful whenever you're going down those main stairs to get rid of that barbed wire. And of course, if someone fails to reinforce that side wall, it's an easy breach and enter right into the side of the armory itself.
Yeah, a lot of teams do that. That's why you have to reinforce that wall. We'll see. I almost saw if they reinforced it there, but
They
That is
did.
a
They were
critical
able to
thing to
get
see
2
that.
of them on there, actually. So they invested 2
That's good.
reinforcements, because if you want to get in there, now you have to push all the way around, so there's really no point. The barbed wire isn't there. Ash can just basically melee this front barbed wire. It has been a
Now,
minute to play so far.
if they want to give up to opening up a hatch, they can open up part of that wall though with Habana if they want a little bit of an angle into armory from across. But usually that's going to be used more on a bar wall instead than, or not bar, the mini bar wall. I mean, in church.
See what Buck's doing here. I don't know a lot of people know about that. Is a 2-way spammable spot into the corner behind that mini bar in church. So he's just trying to get some kind of pick. Very, very good spot to use if you guys are already aware of that.
That's also where you see the fuse cluster charges placed to try and get them inside of that mini bar spot.
Yeah, sometimes they can squeak through on the top if they make the right opening. 125 remaining. It's still 5v5, all tied up 1-1 in the third round. Some smokes going off. He was able to burn his first one. He got a little bit of damage down, but Bolo, like we said, was able to control this front stairs. He gets the pick onto Bamboozle. Now it is 5v4 in their favor, 105 remaining. Ash going to go ahead and drone out. Buck still opening up the top, doing Buck things. Going to put a hole all the way through, so now if they try to come out of the church wall into the hallway, he's going to be able to get the pick, but Ty Tangles gets the pick over to Bolo to bring it back to 4-4. That's a heavy Slayer down.
Nice.
Hyper, yeah.
Hyper.
Very good job. And in the midst of that, Benji also was able to get a pick. Benji with the double kill, Hyper with the double kill, and another very clean attack round by Hat. And I would say that their offensive takes are really their strong suits currently.
Yeah, they seem well coordinated in how they attack from multiple points. It doesn't seem like a haphazard thing where they're pushing in and dying and pushing in afterwards and dying. It seems very coordinated. Buck's really doing his job. Like Hyper knows how to play that Buck from a lot of really good angles, and even that grenade timing was perfect there onto that band because he saw the shoes and had an idea. He backed up just a little bit. So that kind of play and then the coordination with the rest of the team on those attacks is definitely stronger than their defense. And I do hope that they can coordinate as well on their defense so they don't leave so many openings to like those Blackbeard pushes and things like that.
Right, because, you know, a primary job of a captain in the middle of a game is being able to identify where you're weak and make some kind of adjustment. So we'll see if their in-game caller can do that for them and they can hold this defensive round, because if they do, they will, of course, go up by 2, and that's a very big momentum switch for most teams, you know, because at that point, it becomes a little bit of a mental game as well as the physical attributes of shooting your gun itself.
Both these teams do seem to be pretty good at that gun shooting part, though. It just comes down to whether or not their strategy is actually paying off and they're being coordinated in their timing, because timing really plays in this game.
Yeah, actually, timing is a very big part of this game. I do like the setup they have. Again, this is pretty much the strongest way you can play Armory. You have the pulse underneath, you have the mirror watching the back wall. Okay, for a half a second I thought that they left that unreinforced, but okay, we're good to go. Now see this mirror that they put right here? This is the one that I advise people to do, because this grants you control. If you didn't know, you can actually sit right behind this little box right here, known as small box, and there's really nothing anyone can do. There's no way to be seen, maybe a nade, but if you have an ADS, which they don't. But it's still a really good use of that mirror on this particular map.
Yeah, you want to be able to contest that tunnel as much as possible, even if you have to fall back into Armory to do it.
One tap with the Blackbeard kill already in the blue tunnel.
Nice.
We missed it, but he did a very good job. He only took about 45 damage. He did lose one of his shields, and he was able to get them to pop that mirror right away. Wheeze is still in blue, and he is low, so he was able to get the pick through that mirror itself. And now Bandit is gone. 2 minutes in. The advantage is for Vertex. And like we were saying, defense not really suiting them so far. But Vertex doing a good job.
Can get that kill onto Wheeze again, I think this could go very much in their favor. But I think Wheeze really needs to hold off one tap as much as possible.
Yeah, he's going to have to try to contest it without giving up his life and pretty much just eat up as much time as he can. They do finally have control of the Master upstairs. They pretty much bucked inside. Standard bucking, opening up the wall here to see into the hallway. Ash pushing the hall again from the main door.
They are getting a bit stalled out on this push, though. On that hallway. Ash should have been a little bit farther pushed up by now.
Still waiting to see if Blackbeard tries to push. It is a little different this time with that mirror, because he has to be wary of someone playing him in that mirror from the back of the bomb site. So you can see he's a little bit more timid, but he does spot him in the exact same spot as last time. Hyper was able to use that pulse charge and get a C4 kill in kitchen. Right as we move from him, Blackbeard gets the pick, but Mira gets the trade right back on him, and we're in a 3v3 situation with only 50 seconds left. And like you said, the stall out on the front stairs didn't matter too much in Titangles. He's doing a good job on this basement take as Habana, another kill from the hole, and another one right as we switch to him for another double kill on the offensive attack.
That was nice angles through that floor, and he's not even playing his Buck. Good work from the Buck to open those up, but there we go. Billboard,
Speaking of Buck,
the deal. Like the double KO for the ending there.
Just like that, it's all tied up once again. An entirely offensive-sided map for both teams, 2-2, going into round 5. You know, we were saying that maybe things favored Hat heavily, but I have to be honest, you know. Vertex came to play, and they're doing a phenomenal job putting up with a Titan.
I definitely think it's good to see the adjustments from Hat. You like that mirror window you pointed out on the blue utility tunnel is something that was there to help counter that Blackbeard. It just the timing wasn't there. Meaning like they traded it, right? So Blackbeard died after, but I think that was from Church.
Right.
It didn't end up being the thing that countered it, but it slowed him down and forced him to push up very far before he was able to get wheezed. So it was a nice adjustment. It just didn't do quite enough because they didn't have the counterplay they needed to.
Yeah, they got the counterplay on the Blackbeard, which hurt them last time, but they still didn't get the counterplay on the Hatch. You know, I know it's very hard to hold that, but you have to find a way to live from that because the Habana was able to both rounds on attacking that bottom get a double kill from that Hatch. So hopefully next time around they can make just a little bit more. They almost had it, just a couple more adjustments and can take that defense.
Yeah, I'd like to see them try that impact nade counter to try and at least stop Habana, or maybe even waste one of the charges so that's one less hatch that gets opened upstairs, even if you can't stop the kitchen hatch from being opened. You know, if you can take away one set of her X-Kairos, that's just a hatch you get to keep. So I think it's worth trying because you're going to open up holes next to the hatch most of the time anyways.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually surprised we don't see it. Yeah. A lot of people are doing that. I remember the first time in my personal experience of competitive play when it happened, I was confused. I didn't quite understand how my charges were getting destroyed, but then I watched it and I saw it. So it's something that they need to think about it because I think that alone would change the entire course of their attacking phase because all of their deaths and the loss of their round, although Blackbeard has pressure, is coming from that kitchen hatch.
We have yet to see Hat play the upstairs. I'm curious to see how they'll play Bar when it gets to that point. If they can succeed in defending downstairs next time. Or actually, I think they did, right? So they're going to be going upstairs.
Yeah, they did win, so the next one we'll finally get to see it. And again, Hyper going for that. I mean, you can't see the spot, but it definitely exists. And it's two-wayable, so it's not a glitch of any kind. So they don't have a Blackbeard personally, so their push on the blue tunnel isn't going to be as strong as Vertex has been. And currently they're doing a very good job on defense, just basically playing a full turtle.
A bomb has been located.
Well, a lot of their attack comes down from a top down. So if you can just stall that out, not give them any free picks, they don't have as strong a push as Vertex did.
Just like that, he actually gets that pick. We were talking about the spray spot. You have to assume that's what he did. He was able to get the headshot through that wall, so a very good job. Persistence sometimes pays off, and that is showing you right there. Now it's 120 left, 5v4 in favor of Hat on this attacking phase.
See if Hat can time this grenade. Hyper trying to do what he did previously with those grenade throws from above, but just not quite.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he's put a lot of time on Buck because he has all of these angles down to a T. And if you're going to play a class like that, that's what you have to do. So this is what he did last time. So basically, maybe this is just routine for him, common spots people sitting in. So very well done by him as far as gaining that kind of knowledge.
And good job on Vertex for not falling for it this time.
Yeah, definitely a good adjustment by them. Benji gets the pick up onto one tap, and that's now Jaeger and Mira down. Wee's going to drop into Church. He sees Titangles in the corner. He gets the kill. Bolo gets the other kill onto Jonesy. And once again, attacking round goes to Hat. It's now 3-2 in their favor.
Now, I like how Hat they took a long time to get downstairs. And they were trying to pick off as many people as they could. But in the process, I think players like Hyper on Buck were actually eliminating possible positions for them to be in. and forcing them into different corners and things like that to avoid the shots from above. So by the time they did drop, they were all in predictable positions. Like you saw that bandit, for example, getting killed from the memorial drop. He was in a position where he was kind of forced into that position because of all the attacks from different angles. So once they dropped, they just slaughtered the last 3 within like 5 seconds because they'd already forced them into those turtle positions that you're talking about and took them out of the positions where they were a little bit safe.
Yeah, all you have to do is clear a couple corners, and then there's only a couple spots left. So they did a really good job using their entry to force them into, unwinnable situations. And now you have the advantage for Hat. Again, here we go, right back to Armory. What do you think is going to happen different, or again, what has to happen differently for Hat to be able to get this one and change the tides?
I mean, obviously what they did in the stalling out the Blackbeard of the utility tunnel is a big part of it. Hyper landing his C4 last time also helped because stopping a lot of that play in the kitchen is obviously something, that Vertex needs to learn how to do against Hat. So if they can succeed in doing that and stalling, if Weez can keep Blue Utility Tunnel for a while and Hyper can try and keep the kitchen under control, I do think they can stall them out enough to actually win this on defense.
I think I agree. They made a small adjustment last time. It definitely brought them closer to the success of defending this offsite. So all they have to do is finish. It looks like Hyper's going to go a little bit more aggressive on this one.
I like this changeup though because they're not going to be expecting any roamers up here, but at least he's playing it smart, rotating back when he realizes it's not going to work out.
Yeah, I'm all for trying to change something, get that early pick, but you have to have a heads up, the notion to be able to retreat and know what your ultimate goal is, which is the objective. Of course, they're playing tunnel.
I like how Benji plays that spot in case they're going to use it, and then is ready to rotate around and counter from it on an arsenal push if they're not going to use it. Like he's trying to kind of get dual purpose from it. Like, hey, if they're coming in here, I'm ready. If they're not, I'm going to do something else useful still without having to change my position much. And now he's actually going to use it because for the first time they're pushing into dirt.
You saw the drone come through, so he knows he's there. Benji had a good aggressive angle, but it was too aggressive, and Jonesy gets the pick. See, if he would have played a little bit more passively and held the angle a little bit more large on the, the higher of the angle, he could have played the entry and eliminated that variable. The trade coming back and forth between Hat, and he gets the trade on to Buck, so he does get the trade back, and it's back to a 4-4 all tied up here, but 1:45 remaining. See if Pulse can get a good C4. He does see him, and he catches the C4 in the middle of the air. Not intended, but well played.
Saved his life, that's for sure, because that was definitely going to hit.
Oh, that was definitely going to land right on the backside of him. So a good job by him. He got fairly fortunate. He's still going to utilize his Pulse Charge to try to get some sprays. Looks like he's going to reposition himself, and they're going to heavy hold from this church and maybe play for the retake, which isn't necessarily a bad idea.
Definitely going to struggle there fighting that Blackbeard again. Just from a different side. Looks like he did get taken down though. So that's 2 pushing the tunnel that have just not worked out. This strategy overall not working out for VT as they've lost 2 pushing that dirt tunnel, trying to do something different. And I mean, while they did take out the smoke was more critical to defending the tunnel, which hasn't worked anyways. So it's looking actually good for Hat.
Let's see if Habana can get the kills that she was able to get last time and turn the tides, because as of right now, it is in favor of Hat 4v3 and only 35 seconds left. They do have the hatch open. They have control of the front hallway. Crooked tried to push in with Ash, but Billboard on Mira able to take him down, and a gunfight ensues right here in the front hallway. Both pretty much missing the majority of their shots. Weez was able to get the trade on the backside after he dropped inside of Armory. Just like that, Hyper gets the final kill from Church onto Twitch in the front stairs. So there we go. We talked about it, the adaptation, the adjustment, and they finally were able to lock up the first defense win for this map.
It looked like they were playing a little more loose and flexible on that defense. Once they'd taken out the 2 guys in tunnel, they seemed like they were a little more fluid because they weren't as worried about the 5-man attack on them, because they knew they'd eliminated the Buck, for example, in the tunnel. So they weren't as worried about the attack from above. And they were able to move around a little more freely, get some crossfires, cover for each other, get the trades. I mean, yeah, Bolo's shots down the hallway didn't really work out, but the rest of his team was there to back him up, and it seemed like that really worked out for them. But that depended on, having a little bit of a manpower advantage and winning their gunfights. So, I mean, nice adaptations there by Hat, and obviously some good early picks. Vertex trying to change it up with the dirt tunnel thing, and it's unfortunate for them that that didn't work out. Pushing in with a buck to start with is a little unusual for a dirt tunnel attack, and that seemed to have not worked out in their favor at all.
Yeah, last time a lot of their effectiveness came from him opening up the kitchen and allowing Habana to see all those different angles. So it was a good adaptation by Honor Among Thieves, and if I can add my first pun, hats off to them.
Good stuff.
All right, another
So,
armory hold
match
though for
point.
VT. Match point for Hat. It is 4-2. They're on attack. VT on defense. They are using a double mirror on the church wall here as opposed to putting it somewhere else. Interesting strategy. I feel like it doesn't really offer a tremendous amount of change in the way you play the position. I guess you can put a little bit more fire onto this main stairwell, but see how that comes into play.
They're definitely trying different things here, and I appreciate that at least.
Yeah, I definitely do too.
I mean, they're like, hey, we're obviously not winning right now. We're down to match point. But the last round when they tried something different, it really didn't work out. So hopefully they've made the smart choice in what they're doing different. Like you said, that switch up on the Habana window, still would have been better on the blue tunnel, I think. But we'll see if it comes into play. I mean, usually a double window is a situation where you really can utilize the second open window to a huge advantage. But if they're not pushing that hallway like that, you're not going to get a lot of use out of it.
That's a good spot right there on that Valkyrie camera up in the corner of the pipes in that hallway outside of kitchen. And it looks like he already tried to use his C4 from Valkyrie. You know, it's just a guessing game at that point, but still, it was a miss, and that tool is down. They have the hatch open inside of stock. It was unreinforced, so he was able to just pop it with his shotgun. A grenade going down to get rid of the barbed wire. One tap on the back of the weapons rack. He has fallen back into church.
Still haven't opened either of those windows yet, so it seems like an odd use.
I think I'm okay with them not opening it right away. You know, it gives away a big sight line, but if you'd open this left one early, I don't really think that it would hurt you too much. But since he opened it late, he's not really going to get to use it at all.
Yeah, Habana's making sure that it gets opened all right.
Just like that, an advantage goes to a disadvantage, and that is the drawback of not having.
I like that, though, that C4 throw. We've seen that. I saw that in Brazil Pro League work to great effect, but unfortunately didn't work there.
Very good C4. That's one I personally used on this map whenever we were playing Era. Definitely a good use right there.
So far, it's looking like the defense is falling apart a bit as Benji takes down one, so this is looking... Although, trade back.
Yeah, trade back there, but Bolo brings it right back. He tries to push in from the dirt tunnel and peek into armory, but a kill goes down. Bolo pushes in, gets two, but he gets taken down from the blue tunnel. And Crooked on Brook is able to get the double kill. It's a 2v1, excuse me, and they get bombed down. They have control of armory. He knows he's there. Let's see if he's able to get this kill. I think this is a very clutchable round for him. He's able to get the shot, and that's a triple kill for him, but he wasn't aware of the hallway, and Hyper gets the pickup, and that is GG going over to Hat for map 1, but it was a dogfight regardless of the score. I feel like little mistakes is the only thing that defines some of those rounds.
It just seemed like Hat had a little bit better coordination and strategy, and some of the interesting ideas from VT just seemed to backfire on them those last two rounds. And ultimately, that's what cost them. You definitely saw some good gunfights there, especially Crooked trying to clutch that in the end. That's a hard fight to have between two operators. And you saw a lot of leaning back and forth, dodging, trying to get the advantage, barely landing that headshot there. But the problem with all that time is, like you saw, he's not able to watch his flanks.
They did a good job. So, believe our next map.
So this is Consulate, right? That should be their pick, Vertex's pick.
Yeah, I'm going to try to bring it up real quick because I do have the link that'll tell us who actually banned.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Vertex picks Consulate.
Okay, so yeah, that was their pick, so we are on to Consulate.
So this is the surprising one. I feel like, especially with how Hat played the vertical play on that map, that this is really in Hat's favor, if anything, depending on how VT are planning on playing their bomb spots, because it's a risky choice.
All right, they opted out of the 5-minute default break between games, so fortunately for us, Emzo, we get to jump right back into this action.
Yeah.
It will be momentary for the overlay to switch, and that's fine because we normally do take 5, but here we go. Map 2, Consulate. Honor Among Thieves, Vertex, CCS, all kind of action, Imzo, and I'm excited. Are you?
Yeah, this is going to be good. I really hope Vertex have some good ideas for this because this is their map. So if they have some really cool strategies or some good adaptations to what had been doing, maybe this will be the comeback for them. And maybe we'll see this go to map number 3. So, I mean, that's the last thing you want to lose, right? Is your own map pick. So hope they got something good in store for us.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to bring their A game on this, and you have to wonder, is the mental going to take part in this? Are they able to be take the loss and try to find their mistakes and identify with them, or will it carry over into this game?
I do think at least they've got some idea how Hat plays now. So I do hope that that factors into the way they play it. Now, Hat's going to be defending first, though. So this means that they're going to have a pretty solid attack strat. And you see, like, for example, a Blackbeard, you're pretty much going to see him playing that on that B window. There's very rarely any other spots on a top floor attack for a Blackbeard to be playing, other than maybe the A connector. But it's not likely. I think we're going to see a pretty heavy attack from maybe admin office. It's hard to say on this particular, with like a Buck, for example. Not sure how they're going to play him. They could play him from below, for example, try and open up some of the floor, but it's a little bit harder to get someone in those particular spots.
And if you see here, they're opening up footholds all along the bathroom. So pretty much no matter what they do, if they jump into the bathroom, they're going to have some kind of sight line. I really like that use of the shotgun with smoke. Finally going to see where they're going to put their mirrors and going to use it to be able to see into the yellow stairs itself. Trying to see where this other mirror.
That's a good combo with the castle because it castled off that yellow stairs door. So if they get stalled out playing around in those yellow stairs, they're going to be able to clearly see what's going on. And that's going to make it more difficult for them to take out the castle door as well because they know they're going to be watched on that mirror window. Now, they do have a twitch, though, so if they can get a shock drone in there, then they might be able to sneak around and get that mirror window open and actually use it to their advantage.
I really like this. Do you see how they're playing this? They're going to leave themselves the ability to rotate freely through this and play the Visa stairs. And they have it castled off and reinforced on the side. So Billboard's pretty much just going to freely jiggle peek this. And I have to say, I've never seen this setup before, but I really like the way it is because it eliminates both of the entry points. As far as how you take this map, you can at least choke them and put some pressure back.
Yeah, and it is very hard to peek them because they're going to just throw drones in most of the time. So there we go, speaking of peeking.
Yeah, Benji jumps out with smoke and gets the pick on Ash, who was repelled on that connector window you had mentioned with that Blackbeard could possibly sit on. Blackbeard just pretty much on drone right now. I don't know if I agree with that. You know, Blackbeard needs to be up on that window immediately so he can apply pressure that eliminates the ability to freely rotate through the upstairs. A little bit of a misplay by them.
Yeah, they really need to be applying pressure, especially with the way Hat has this really good setup to counter both pressure points.
Valkyrie just kind of hanging out in the kitchen on her camera. He's doing the same thing, reading through some text messages. And just like that, Bolo gets an aggressive pick outside. And I'm pretty sure he was repelled on this window, and they were able to take him down. So a good job by him. But Blackbeard on the backside gets the pick on Hyper with Pulse. He was roaming around. Excuse me, Valkyrie, and he was roaming around, and he got picked up. So a good job by him. It is still in favor of Hat. 4-3, though, currently in the first round. 40 seconds remaining. Have control of Visa Habana and control of the front lobby. Buck finally making his way into the bathroom. He's going to get an angle sightline into the corner of that office.
Now, he played into that bathroom like you were talking about.
He's able to get one. He finally picks him up behind there, but the trade from the Bandit inside the site, Bolo trades it right back, but one tap with a double kill. He's playing very good so far, and they're going to try to push forward, but Billboard has that beautiful angle, gets one, Bolo gets the other one from Connector, and round one goes to Hat.
I feel like Hat was not expecting them to play it that way, and it actually kind of worked out a little bit in VT's favor. Now, they didn't ultimately win, but for example, Blackbeard playing inside unusually like that did kind of work out for them. They didn't expect kind of the weird angles that they took. They did actually take the bathroom that was supposed to be harder to penetrate, for example. And then the Blackbeard pushing up the Visa stairs was not something anyone on the Hat side expected. So a little bit of surprise there worked in their favor, but they just lost on too many of the angles because of the solid defense upstairs, that it just, once they got there, they couldn't stick it well enough. And then Bolo, of course, getting some nice picks helped as well.
At the very end there, you know, I touched on Blackbeard being on that B window because he's seen rotates. You know, the final 3 kills all came from a rotation through somewhere that Blackbeard would have seen. So he might have gotten 2, but he could have possibly gotten 3, or someone else could have got a different kill with the pressure applied. So I still would like to see them put that Blackbeard on that window next time they try to take it, and they might have a little bit more success. We'll see how the hold goes here for Vertex. Of course, I'm sure their defensive hold's going to be different because I've never seen a hold like that before that we saw from Hat. This is a little bit more standard so far.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Like how they were actually able to use that impact grenade. Now they have holes all the way through both doors right there, but still could come back to be very useful. And it just going to pre-place his charges on this yellow wall. Wow, and just like that, the aggressive play from One Tap backfires, and Bolo says, I don't think so, shuts him down. And after being up 1 round, they're now up again on this one, and it wasn't even 15 seconds in, Enzo.
Yeah, they thought they could go for that cheeky peek, and I hope they learned their lesson on that. I mean, they did a bit of damage to Bolo, which is good, but not sealing the kill, even if it had been a trade, it might have been worth it. But the fact that he just got downed without, I mean, on the upside, I guess he dropped his armor first. That's unfortunate for One Tap.
He got the armor down, so they gave him that. But other than that, you know, it's something that I tell my players. You just cannot die within the first 45 seconds. If you die within the first 45 seconds, it doesn't matter. Your odds dramatically decrease in winning on defense.
They can play a lot more confidently, too. And then confidence does factor into this game a lot. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very big game of momentum. You know, the mental play on this game is way more intensive than other games, you know, like Call of Duty and things like that. That's more of a shooter-oriented game, where this is a strategical, team-oriented gameplay.
Which is why you see plays like Jaeger laying down on a desk.
Plays like late Jaeger running into the kitchen. It is only 135 remaining. 5v4 in favor of Hat currently in round 2.
Still, though, at least stalling them out a bit on this attack.
Yeah, they definitely stalled out. They're taking their time. They have control of this window with Blackbeard, so he has the connector window. I'm still not the biggest fan of that spot particularly, and just as we go away, Hyper gets the pick across to Jonesy, so now it's a 5v3 in favor with only 1 minute and 5 remaining. And drone in, Hyper on Buck. He has control of the spiral stairs. And a gunfight ensues. Yeah, they got a lot of intel. They're doing a good job droning. He took his shield down. 1. Bamboozle gets 1. Benji gets the trade right back. Blackbeard knows he's right there. I'm not quite sure if he downs him, but he's able to get some damage down, but only 40 seconds remain. He tries to push through. Blackbeard does get the kill on the Valkyrie, pushing into the connector. He knows he's still there in the bathroom, but can he get him? They're able to get inside and get the bomb down. As he pushes across, he gets a little bit of damage onto him. But of course, he is Doc. He's going to heal himself, but more damage coming down. Benji gets picked through the wall, and he is down. This is pretty much all but over for round 2 in favor of Hat. He's going to just stim himself, but no, he's going to get down and pick himself right back up. He's going to have to push at some point. He's running out of time. And they push him from every angle, and just like that, he goes down. Round 2 going over to honor among Thieves.
I gotta give Crooked credit for really trying. Like, he didn't give up on that, despite all the odds being very not in his favor. Trapped in that room with nowhere to escape. He's not gonna jump out the window. He can't really like impact nade his way out of there. He was just stuck in the bathroom with all those people putting pressure on them and continually juicing himself up to stay alive, trying to play Rambo. And we saw last time he tried to clutch. He put up a good effort as well on Clubhouse, but it's just sometimes the odds are just not in his favor.
Yeah, I would agree. Put up a valiant effort, my friend, but ultimately not much you can do against 4 players. We'll see if they can do something differently round 3. You know, I've always felt like when you're at 0-2, 1-3, that 2-round swing, that is the biggest mental hurdle that you have to get over, I think, as a player in this. So hopefully they can get around here and get that momentum back, because as you know, momentum is a very big part of this game.
I definitely think it's possible at this point, especially since they're attacking what might be the weaker bomb site. So, I mean, depends on how Hat defend this. If Hat have a really good strat for down here, then it really may steamroll over, you know, that 3-0 is going to be really hard to come back from. But if this is a good bomb site for VT to attack and they can take this round, I agree we could see a 2-round comeback at least. Try and get some momentum back up. But it is a little bit of an uphill battle for them right now, as they have interesting ideas, but they're just not executing on them well enough.
You know, I really like what they're trying to do here. Obviously, one of the best ways to take the bottom is to get control of this piano. Excuse me, you can throw an ash on the window, open it up, and then you can see the charges, so you don't really need Thatcher per se. But when the opposing team puts pressure on you like this on the upstairs, then it's very easy for them to get them. And Bamboozle jumps out and gets a pick onto Hyper. Or excuse me, Hyper tries to get aggressive, but Bamboozle counters it. And already 30 seconds in.
Jonesy lost a bit of health for that, though.
He's probably about around 30-35%, but he's still alive, so he can still do his job and get the thermite charge down. See if Bandit goes to trick it. He's not going to be able to get it, so he's going to have to run away. He now is in pipes, and they have the control they need. A good job on getting control of that at 2 minutes after already having to pick up 5v4 in favor of Vertex in round 3. Smoke holding the bathroom.
Position here. Yeah, that bathroom may not even be vital here if they can actually hold it, because if they don't have a way to open up, if Benji doesn't have a shotgun to open up that hatch, for example, which he does, then, you know, they would trap him up there. But since he can open up the hatch and rotate down, he may be in a clutch position towards the end.
Jonesy pushing up with thermite, going to triple smoke and push into sight. Just going to go ahead and straight put the bomb down. I don't even think they know. Somehow Bamboozle gets a TK.
That's it. That sealed the deal.
Yeah, that's a real big one to come back from. And now Thermite's down also, so the advantage is, of course, in Hat's favor again so far on this one. 120 remaining.
Diffuser's chilling inside, and that's a bad position because they know how they have to push it now.
Yeah, they have to get that bomb, so Hat easily can just set up around that bomb being down, and it's in their building. So, should be fairly easy for them.
If I was VT, I would almost just go for picks, knowing that they're going to be focused on that diffuser. Come around like Blackbeard's doing from behind and get those picks instead of focusing on the diffuser.
Ash pushes in, but Castle gets the pickup. Not sure why he doesn't look there. And Weez, I think that's a triple kill from the same exact spot, so a good job by him. That's all left on that flanking Blackbeard, just kind of creeping through the building. Able to get the sprays onto him. He does get the headshot onto Bolo. Fortunately for him, he has that Blackbeard shield. That is the strength of Blackbeard, but still an uphill battle. 1v3, 25 seconds left, and bomb down inside the building. Benji gets that shotgun kill from the bathroom. Another good round for Hat.
If they had just coordinated an attack from a different side, like I said, instead of trying to rush that white van, they might have been able to salvage that because they had a whole minute left to try and find and pick up the remaining players on Hat. In engagements, even if they didn't win all the engagements, that would have put enough like manpower advantage potentially to be able to rotate around and get that diffuser after all if they needed to. But they were just throwing bodies at the diffuser after they'd already TK'd over it, and that was just like throwing, you know, chasing after Bad Bunny at that point. And obviously didn't work.
I feel like the push wasn't necessarily a bad idea. They just needed another guy to push with them to watch, of course, that back side of the white van. This is why I believe it's pivotal to make sure that you clear that floor first. I know Smoke was holding that bathroom, but you get Smoke out of there, then you can easily buck that floor. No one can sit back there. You have the door open, so you can just freely plant that bomb, and you wouldn't have to invest another player, whereas you could invest that player upstairs.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to go for that push like that, they could have at least brought Blackbeard around to the door of cafeteria, pushed pressure from that side, distract them for a minute so that they couldn't focus on guarding that white van.
Give them a little bit of support.
Yeah, something to do there, because letting the defenders focus entirely on one thing is a recipe for an attack fail.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. You know, you have to be adaptive in the middle of the game. One of the things that separates this game from other games is a lot of games have strategy, but I feel like Rainbow Six Siege particularly is very based upon setups and the structure in which you place your players, and not necessarily the end goal, if that makes sense. Because the strength of your strategy comes from the position in which you're in. So the rotations and the adaptations mid-game are what are vital to being able to succeed in Rainbow Six.
It's interesting. Speaking of those setups and things like that, that double mirror window that they just went for there from behind the desk, facing into the V or the A site, there is an interesting idea.
Yeah, I like that. If you think back to around season 2, season 3, the old orbit, what they would do on Consulate, which was very strong, was they would basically play this only a retake. So they have the same concept in mind. Of course, these other walls are reinforced, but they can still easily pop that once they get inside, play it from underneath. And I like the idea. We'll see if it works out.
Unfortunately, most of VT's ideas have not. So, I mean, it feels bad, but I like that they're trying different things. Like that's what's important is figuring out what works. Now, obviously, it helps to do that in scrims, but nice trade there.
Yeah, nice trade back. One tap gets Hyper, but Bolo gets the trade back onto him. So that's Buck and Rook no longer in the equation.
That's the second time one tap has gone down at the beginning as that Rook.
I'm not sure what he's doing. I have to start being a little careful. You do have tie tangles on Rome still. 135 remaining. It is all tied up at 4-4 on round 4. 3-0 in favor of Hat. They did win game 1, 5-2 on Clubhouse.
Tie tangles could really turn the tide here if he has his timing right.
He's able to see him on top of yellow. He puts the spray through, but doesn't get the kill. Blackbeard sees him. He gets a lot of damage, but he doesn't get the pick. And right as we look away, Bolo gets the pick up on Jonesy. All the way inside, they have control of the B bomb now. They're going for the plant down. Weeze with Habana gets the pick up on a tie tangle, so now Bandit is gone. Bolo gonna watch this front desk. Two v 4 gonna be a difficult situation for them. Let's see how it unfolds. A lot of spraying going down and pre-firing. Blackbeard just hitting out on the window. Mira, not a lot of options at this point, sitting in that front hall. Every angle she tries to go through is going to be watched. And Benji picks him up from the top of yellow, of the bathroom, excuse me, and then Bolo comes through from sight and picks up Cricket. And that's round 4. And unfortunately, this is very one-sided matchup for Hat. So Vertex going to have to do something big on this one.
One thing I've noticed about a lot of teams is they defend against their own attacks. So had Vertex thought of that, they would have realized that because they set up a mirror window on the yellow stairs, that yellow stairs was an important part of their attack strategy. And they would have defended better against, because they were focused on defending that A site, and the A site wasn't really pushed. It was the B site that they pushed for. And had they paid attention to what Hat was doing the previous round on their defense of that top floor, they would have had some inkling that that's what was going on. It's a phenomenon I've noticed time and time again throughout multiple Pro League seasons is teams defend against their own strategies. I mean, there's probably multiple reasons for that, but it is a good way to read your opponent if you want to have some idea where the attacks are coming from. And I'm not sure that these teams really understand that. That's not something that I think is really commonly discussed a lot, but I think that would have given him a clue in that round that really could have changed things, because you saw the coordination and pressure from the Blackbeard on the window and then the attacks from Ash and stuff like that on the yellow stairs. Between those two things, they pressured everyone out of there, took control of that room, and then just launched their attack from there, pre-firing through walls, holding angles. They just basically took over that room in force.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, I pretty much agree entirely. But now this is match point in favor of Hat and round game point for Week 1 in this 14-week season of our Invite League, the inaugural league, if you will. And of course, Hat going for the same setup. I still really like the way it functions. Some feng shui, if you will. I love the flow.
Well, now this is Vertex's chance to do something about that, because they know what the setup is. So this is their chance to try and come back for a round, knowing what they're up against, not having really any big surprises, hopefully. Can they do it? Can they adapt?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Twitch was able to get that Mira. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and put his other Mira here and try to play that. But of course, the wall is soft underneath, so he's going to be able to be sprayed. Good job by Twitch, and a good start for them to get this round in their favor. 40 seconds have already been played. Excuse me.
I like that, though. I like when the Twitch drone's useful for getting those Habanas, because I like when you, or not Habanas, but the mirror windows, because that's when you switch a defensive setup into your favor, and I think that's always exciting, because it puts the onus on the defensive team to try and adapt to that now, saying like, was that risk worth the reward? But then one tap laying down out here, getting smoked like that is not good. But I like how he's actually managing to avoid that smoke. At this point, he's almost just bait.
Goodness, something stuck in my throat, but Bamboozle coming down from the top, going to get the pickup for his teammates, so it's back to a 5v5, but he is down 50% health. A good play by Hat to get him down and get one of his shields out of the way. Or excuse me, I guess he didn't get the shield.
Must have got some body shots.
Got some body shots, but he still has control of the site in here.
This is where he probably should be wallbanging the desk, because he's got to know Benji's playing behind there. He did last time.
Oh, he wasn't looking in the right direction. He gets sprayed in the backside right after Bolo hooks up Crooked. Bandit takes down Ash. Blackbeard gone, as you saw right there. 1:05 remaining. And it's looking grim for Vertex on this first game of their season.
Definitely looking good for Hat, as they have not lost a single player and barely taken any damage, if any.
Bolo. That was a really good peek by him. He probably heard him up there. He knew he was there, and he kind of just waited for the rotation, caught him off guard. Pretty much how all three of the kills came for their team, is the other guy's just not quite paying attention.
They got 41 seconds, but 2v5 here is not going to go well for VT.
Yeah, Smoke using one of his smokes. He still has one left with 30 seconds, so a very good job by him to use those.
Yes, the longer he stalls them out, the more desperate their two-man push is going to be.
Very good shot by Benji. He has a double kill now this round. And Bolo sums it up, and that's a double kill for him. And that is the final map. Honor Among Thieves winning Game 1 versus Vertex Gaming 2-0.
GG indeed.
And I really like what we saw. You know, we touched on that strategy that they used on the backside to defend that office take. You know, a lot of people will still take control of that admin office and push in, which I feel like just the awareness, knowing that that mirror was there, was what forced them to have to push the other side the entire time. So it didn't allow a lot of room for adaptation. So a very good job by Hat for coming with something original and it being very successful.
Yeah, overall, I think that was some pretty good play from both teams, but overall, like, Hat just has the better play. They're winning more of the gunfights. They're holding better angles and countering what the VT guys are trying to do. And the VT just don't look like they have the coordination that Hat does in terms of their attack pushes. Their attack pushes seem a bit more scattered. I especially saw that last round where, like, for example, Bamboozled was rotating all over the place trying to help his team out, but it just didn't look like a coordinated push like we saw when Hat does their attacks. And I think that's a big difference in winning those rounds.
A lot of little individual talent on both sides, and fortunately for them, they'll be able to come back and review the VOD, see what they did wrong. I feel like they have a lot of potential, so there's a lot of games left to play. Basically, the top 8 teams get in. You're going to play 14 games. The way it works is we have 3 different divisions of 4 teams. The top team from each division will become the 1, 2, and 3 seed. And then our 5 wild cards, which is the next 5 best overall records. So there's plenty of room for them to come back from this. You know, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they grow from this.
I think it was still a pretty good initial showing against a very difficult team to play against. The nice thing is they get to learn from what Hat did as well as what they did wrong and come back that much stronger next time, because that's what you want to do. I mean, let's say in theory that the rest of the teams in this league are worse than Hat. Learning from playing Hat here, whether you consider it a scrim or whatever, learning from both your mistakes and from the smart things that they did means they're going to be that much stronger against other teams they play in this league.
Absolutely, you know, take on tougher competition, and you do go back and review mistakes and things of that nature. Of course, going to make you a better player. This is one of those games where the more time you put in, the more experience you gain, and the more knowledge you acquire, the better you're ultimately going to be as a player and a team.
I mean, it does suck playing against such a strong team early on, right? Like that can be demotivating. But if you have the right mentality, that can be extremely motivating to say, hey, we still put up a good fight against them. That means we can do even better against some of these lesser teams.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would take from this. But I think, Emzo, that is pretty much all for us today.
It was a good start. That's
I don't know about you. I had a really good time, and I want to say thank you to coming in and helping us out and casting this season. I want to say thank you to everyone out there that is watching and has supported us with the retweets and likes and things like that. We're going to do the best we can to just keep getting better. So, you know, hang in there and bear with us. But you got any final words for these guys?
I'm just excited to see how this evolves. And you guys are all a part of that and helping this get to be a really, really cool league. And I think there's some great ideas here and some great things coming out of it. And let's just everyone contribute to that and have an awesome alternate league to just the Pro League.
I agree completely. So again, I am Fluffy. That is Emzo, and that is all for us today. Our next matchup will be at 7 p.m. Eastern on this coming Wednesday. All matches will be at 7:30 and 9:30 on every Friday and Wednesday for the next 14 weeks. So come back, enjoy, thank you, and have a great night.
See you guys then.